Hello and welcome. This is Joyce Edison here on the Building Legacy podcast, and I just want to say a bright new day to you wherever you're listening from. This podcast is brought to you by Interpersonal Wellness Services Inc. and the Global Workplace Wellness. I am so happy to join you today to just talk about Thanksgiving, like really. And I'm not talking about Thanksgiving, the feast, or Thanksgiving, that special time of the year where we set aside for Thanksgiving. I want to just talk about Thanksgiving on general and how important it is. And I mean, it's the same as gratitude, right? Thanksgiving, like living a life of gratitude. And one of the things I know about building legacies is that it's so important to reflect back on where we've come, what we've done, so we can be more focused and purposeful in building our legacy. So I want you to think back of the major events in your life that you ought to be grateful for, those significant milestones that are going to be marked in history. If not by others, but at least for yourself in your history. I believe that we live our life in chapters. So each chapter in your life, a significant milestone. When you turn 10, when you turn 20, when you turn 30, and if you're a person for the fives, maybe when you turn 5 and 10 and 15 and 25, whatever it is, those significant milestones that you've made in your life. And look back and think about the things that brought you forward, the things that moved you forward. All of us have something that will motivate us. It may not be the same for everyone. What might motivate me may not motivate you. But it's so amazing that we live in this wonderful, amazing planet that we will be motivated whether or not, right, we're aware of what motivates us. We find a way to keep going. And we all have our unique things that will motivate us to move forward, pull us forward, pull through. And that is so important and so significant in building legacy. Looking back, I think often we're not successful in building legacy because we don't look back to see where we've come and what have brought us forward. To really sit back and look at, how did that impact me? What was the impact in my life? What was the meaning of that to me? How did I find meaning into it? And how was I able to latch on to this, to pull me through whatever I was going through, to get me to the next chapter, get me to the next stage? It's like writing a book. All our lives are a book, and they're going to be made up of many, many chapters. And as we finish one chapter, we go to the next chapter. And if you're building a legacy life, right? If you're building a life legacy, then it's very important to reflect back on the chapters. Because when we do that, we can be really grateful and start giving thanks. Really being grateful for what brought us here and looking for how to move to the next chapter. What are the things that's catapulting us to the next chapter? What are the things now that's fostering the movement that's necessary for us to move from where we are to where we need to go? I believe life is about growth. So if we're not growing, we're dying. So look around you and ask yourself, am I growing? Am I growing? Look at all the 9 dimensions of your life. Am I growing in all of these dimensions? Am I growing spiritually? What does that mean? Am I growing? And I'll do a show on all of these topics, but I just want to generally put that idea in your head as you think about it. Am I growing socially? Am I still with the same friends and people that I were from childhood? Or have I increase that social network? Am I networking at a different level? Am I bringing more people into my life? Am I expanding? Because that's significantly important, right? Am I growing emotionally? So important. If we grow emotionally, we're able to see our emotions differently and view our emotions as separate from who we are, because that's important. Otherwise, everything becomes an emotional drama, and we become our emotions, and we forget that emotions are something we experience. But we can talk about that on a completely different show, because it's such a big topic. We can talk about it all day. But I want to respect the time, and I do want to keep our podcast at a nice, friendly 10 to 15 minutes, because, really, why do we need to spend that much time to get the message across? So as we talk about this, it's really an important aspect in your life. Are you growing occupationally? Are you doing the same job in the same position, doing the same thing over and over again? Are you growing there? And those are things to be grateful for if you are. And if you're not, it's grateful for the awareness that you can now, hey, what do I need to do next? What's next for me? Well, how can I grow in this area? Very important, because that encourages us to be grateful. It really encourages Thanksgiving, because you can look back and say, yeah, you may have done the same work with the same company for 20 years. What a blessing. What a thing to be grateful for. To just give thanks and say, I am so thankful that I have been able to work in this organization for 20 years and still be here and still be sane, and still be able to get up and go to work every day. That's important. And that's worth being grateful for. So let's remember that. It's the whole idea of Thanksgiving is significant to building legacy. Because if you have a legacy of ingratitude, you don't want that. Your legacy should be one of thanksgiving. It should be one of praise. It should be one of gratitude. It should be one of oneness. It just should be and will be and continue to be. Because you know what? Life is so full of interesting things. And it's always surprising. We never know what's at the next corner, what's behind the next bend. And it's so important for us to pay attention. Significantly so. Very, very important. Very, very important to do so. So let's take this day and mark down some things you want to be grateful for. Some things that you really just want to be. And, sometimes we say gratitude. I think sometimes people separate the word gratitude from Thanksgiving in their minds. And I that's okay. Gratitude is like, you just generally have an attitude of gratitude. But Thanksgiving, there is a verb to it. There's an action to Thanksgiving. You see, giving is an action word. So that means you're actively going to stop and say, thank you, universe. Thank you, God. Thank you, Mother Earth, whatever you believe in. Thank you for this chapter. Thank you for this significant milestone. Thank you that I was able to go through it. So the act of Thanksgiving is sometimes, I think, missed, and we just blanket everything with gratitude. Absolutely. Gratitude is important. But the actual act of Thanksgiving, there are lots of grateful people and gratitude focused people that they're not really taking time to practice the art of Thanksgiving. Really stop in and turn into someone and say, thank you for what you've done for me. Thank you for being there. You don't know what your presence in my life did, or the significance or the role you came to play in my life. You don't know what that is, but I want you to know it was important to me. I want you to know that it brought me through my journey, that it was significant for me to move through this milestone, for me to move to the next chapter of my life. And I'm so grateful that you're there. I'm so grateful that you were there. Even if they're not here anymore, it's important to do that. And I think we need to move away from gratitude and move into Thanksgiving. Necessarily not move away, but really stop practicing Thanksgiving. I think we don't do it enough. And we becoming lazy. We're like, oh yeah, being grateful. I'm grateful. Grateful. Yeah, you can have a heart of gratitude and be grateful in your meditation and in your journal, but really being thankful and saying thank you to people, I think there's something about it because it's relational. We're building a relationship when we say thank you. We're connecting on a different level, and the synapses in our brain, lights up, and there is something because there's that something about that human connection. So saying thank you and really being thankful for our life and what we've done. And you may be listening and say, Joyce, I haven't done anything to be grateful. You have things in your life to be grateful for. The fact that you're here, that you actually can listen to this podcast and that you have a medium to listen to it is something to be really, really thankful for. Right. And you notice I stop myself from saying grateful. I mean, thankful. I want you to stop and practice the act of thankfulness and say, I am so thankful that I can listen to this podcast today. I am so thankful that I have this moment to myself to do so. And that is what I'm talking about. Gratitude is just like, oh, I'm so grateful. No, thankful is more directed. You actually speak to that particular thing that you're grateful for, but you're speaking to that particular thing that you're being thankful for this. So there is purpose to thankfulness. There is an act to thankfulness. It's an action. It's a verb. There is a connection. There's a relationship, and there is energy in thankfulness. Gratitude can be a noun. Just in gratitude, be grateful. There's just a different energy about it. And I'm starting to recognize that people are just going under the down low of gratitude and they're not being really thankful. So today I want to challenge you to be actually thankful. So stop and say, who do I need to be thankful? Who do I need to thank? Who do I need to say thank you to? Right? And that Thanksgiving is important. It's not something we should set aside to do once a year with our family while we're busy doing our Christmas shopping. It's not. That is a celebration of Thanksgiving, and that's like a global thing. But the act of thankfulness is something I think we all need to bring into our life. And as I'm doing this podcast, I'm doing my own reflection. And I there are 2-3 people that in my life I think I need to say thank you to and reach out to in a different way than I have before. And I'm looking forward to doing that. I'm very, very excited about it. So yes, let's be thankful. Let's be grateful. Let's put it out there, and let's, turn that gratitude into an action verb and just be thankful, because that's part of legacy building. And as we do that, we do more of it. We're going to grow. We're going to expand. We're going to flourish, because that's what life is all about. It's about those connections. It's about those meaningful connections. It's about connecting and being who we're meant to be. I want to wish you well. Thank you for joining me today on the Legacy Building Podcast. Remember, legacy is built moment by moment, day by day. You're building your legacy. And when you're not watching, when you're not listening, when you're not thinking, you're still building legacy. So let's be mindful. Let's be purposeful. Let's be active and be thankful as we build our legacy. Joyce Odidison here, joyceodidison.com. Love spending time with you, and join me for an upcoming podcast. Take care and be well. Bye-bye.